America is in a fascist shift. Naomi Wolf doesn't use fascist shift as an insult. She uses the term technically. It means an anti-democratic ideology that uses the threat of violence against the individual in order to subdue the institutions of civil society, so that they in turn can be subordinated to the power of the state. Would-be dictators, from the right or left, use 10 steps to close down an open society. The Bush administration already has each step in motion. 1. Invoke an external and internal threat. All fascist leaders tell citizens a story of encircling global threat that is evil incarnate. Fascists need a demonized enemy against which to mobilize followers. Mission creep. The enemy status is then shifted from group to group. Fascist leaders often hype a threat that has elements of truth. 2. Establish secret prisons where they use torture. No country has ever created a system of secret prisons with torture and not turned them against its own citizens. In the endgame of the fascist shift, opposition leaders, outspoken clergy, union leaders, well-known performers, publishers, and journalists are sent to secret prisons. 3. Create a paramilitary force. Like Blackwater, the world's most powerful mercenary army, above civil law, above military law. 4. Create a surveillance system against ordinary citizens. 5. Infiltrate citizen groups. Federal agents and police spy on groups and also disrupt and harass them. The goal is to destroy trust, to make people feel too vulnerable to carry out the assertive collective behavior that democracy requires. 6. Arbitrarily detain and release citizens. Being on the list can get innocent people detained and tortured. Meher Arar, a Canadian citizen, was seized while changing planes in Kennedy Airport in 2002. They sent him to a Syrian prison for over a year, to be beaten repeatedly with a heavy metal cable. Canada finally got him released. Fascist propagandists target individuals, detain and release them, and then publicize the stories. Chaplain James Yee spoke up for better treatment of detainees in Guantanamo. He was arrested for espionage and possibly treason in September 2003. Within 6 months, the government dropped these charges and released him. 7. Target key individuals. At first, career setbacks and job loss are used. Later, arrests and secret prisons. Goebbels purged the sciences of those who didn't agree with the Nazi line. Since 2001, the National Science Foundation makes no grants to scientists if their research undermines Bush's agenda. In a fascist shift, artists and entertainers are always targets. Goebbels directed special ire at lawyers and judges. The Bush administration has purged civil servants who do not follow the party line, long before the United States Attorney's scandal. Navy lawyers, like Lieutenant Commander Charles Swift, face career loss if they really defend detainees instead of getting them to plead guilty. 8. Restrict the press. Despots install supporters to purge radio of non-supporters. Kenneth Tomlinson was hired to purge liberal pundits from PBS. On a U.S. Army website in 2007, the media is listed as another threat alongside Al-Qaeda. In a fascist shift, as real reporters are frozen out, smeared, or fired, there is increasing use of spectacle in conveying message. And the spectacle is accompanied by the production of fake news and false documents. 9. Cast criticism as espionage and dissent as treason. 10. Subvert the rule of law. What has happened in the past is that at a certain point in a weakening democracy, would-be dictators pretend that everything is as it should be, but simply stop responding to the will of the people and the representatives. It takes people time to figure out what has happened. This is the moment when the window is closing. In Italy and Germany, legislators kept believing they were still engaged in democracy. Then citizens witnessed the stunning series of fait accompli. Mussolini and Hitler claimed all kinds of new rights that were extra-parliamentary. At this stage, shock follows shock so quickly that the institutions of civil society start to reel. Before it's too late, support the American Freedom Campaign. Help me save our democracy.